history, but I understand what you're saying, and yes, there might be. We have those situations in Australia as well as Sydney. But what I'd like to go back to is the point of the current situation and the trauma that Lebanon's still witnessing and experiencing, with the reference to the feudal political system and the confessional system, which, as you mentioned, could be a saving grace for the country. The current elections that are imminent, a week away, just over a week away, there have been reforms introduced for these elections that, for many, and from my study of the history of Lebanon and current understanding, are the most significant that have been introduced in Lebanese history. The introduction of the vote for the diaspora to participate in the elections and the proportional representation reforms. How do you see them as someone who's experienced Lebanon and understood its history? How do they really impact Lebanon? Will they make a difference to the political system?
So I mean, these elections will be long in the past when we cut this film.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they will turn out not to be very significant. So, look, the Lebanese feudal system is incredibly resilient when it comes to preserving itself. It's incredibly rigid when it comes to enacting reforms that help regular people. So essentially, the Civil War ended in a tie. The powers that be competed to see if they could each get a bigger slice of the pie. They couldn't, and in the end, they went back to the understanding they had before, and that understanding has persisted throughout multiple crises since the end of the Civil War. So decades have gone by. More or less the same leaders, parties, and families control everything in more or less the same sectarian balance.
Yeah.
What's changed is the system is today incapable of delivering goods to Lebanese citizens. So for a long time, this clientelistic feudal system worked because when you broke your leg or when a relative got cancer, you could go to your sect's boss. You could go to the boss of your sect. You could go to the leader of your political movement and get help. You could get financial help. You could get a job for your kid. You could get a job for yourself. It worked. It was messy. It was unappealing in some ways. It kept people safe within their communities, and it gave them livelihoods. Most of these warlords today are broke. The money that used to pour in from foreign countries that were propping them up because of various regional wars or because of the Lebanese Civil War has dried up. They don't have the cash to give out goodies to their followers. They don't have an economy in this country that can employ people. So the system is broken. Lebanese people are poorer than ever before. They have fewer opportunities than ever before inside their boundaries. And even basic services like picking up the garbage or running a clinic don't operate at the level that they did even 15 years ago. So Lebanese can remember the decade after the Civil War, everything was steadily getting better.
Yeah.
And by the year 2000, there was 24-hour-a-day electricity. Healthcare was better than it had been at the end of the war. The cities were clean. The garbage was being picked up. Pollution was less. Life was on the mend.
Yeah.
Since 2000, every indicator of livelihood and quality of life has steadily declined for 18 years. And the reason for that is because the ruling warlords are extractive. Their main purpose in life is to support themselves and to extract what money they can from the system, and they no longer have any left over to share with their followers. That is a perpetual looming crisis for Lebanon. Elections designed by these warlords are not going to do away with the system that perpetuates the warlords. We've seen a good decade of tension over this gap between the warlords' promise, which is we'll keep you safe and take care of you if you let us have all the power, and the reality where they can't deliver. That crisis is either going to get resolved by some kind of more radical reform, where we end up with real one-person, one-vote elections and an electoral system that does away with the sectarian quotas and all these very complicated set-asides, or, God forbid, some more violent cleavage. I don't expect Lebanon to settle its internal problems through war, because one of the legacies of the civil war is that people will always look for another way, if there is, because they've seen how futile and pointless it is to try and redesign your political system through a civil war. But this ruling class is incorrigible. This ruling class is incorrigible. This ruling class is incorrigible.